So as we know, Vault-Tec have the almost otherworldly ability to take a normal situation and balls it all up. It is a skill they have carefully cultivated over the years, culminating in the vaults that were both created to preserve human life and fuck with it. And today I would like to apologise, as I am quite hungover and my voice is going to sound like a frog. It's dry humping my throat. Today we should be looking at their base operations for Boston, the Vault-Tec Regional HQ. A very unassuming building. It's tucked away to the right of the Charles View Amphitheatre. Some say it's a letdown, but I believe it still lives up to the reputation that precedes it. Let's have a gander. The inside looks as shit as many of their vaults do, if not more so. Most of it shows signs of erosion and rust, and parts of the floor are collapsed throughout. To the left is a spooky bathroom, with a plunger that, for once, is doing its job. This makes me even more suspicious. A blasphemous poster can be found on the wall, though then again, what can you expect from Vault-Tec? This place has several ghouls in it, and even after clearing it all up, the bastards came back. I think they're meant to be the employees that once worked here, toiling away to ruin people's lives. Or at least you'd think so. It's pretty ironic, as the company that said it would shelter people from Armageddon didn't even manage to do it for themselves for the most part. They deserve what they got, in my opinion. The reception area is just around to the right, and appears that even Vault-Tec were getting into the spooky spirit. Perhaps too spooky. Several pool balls can be found around the place, which is confusing at first. However, if you would direct your gaze up, cracking your neck and possibly giving yourself whiplash in the process, it appears that the pool table on the second floor collapsed through it. Its weight probably wore it down over the years. Or Vault-Tec just didn't build the floor properly. To be honest, I would go for the latter. Heading back the way we came, and to the right, we can find the wreck remains of some poor bastard's office, though there isn't really a lot here for us to go on. The next one over is in better shape, however. On the desk we can find the remains of a meal, and a cup of either coffee or tea. So if it was just left here, and we know when the bombs hit, this was probably this person's breakfast, which they don't seem to have managed to finish. Kitchen offers us the way to the next floor, and contains a knackered Nuka-Cola machine, and other such food objects. Conclusive proof that the people working in Vault-Tec were in fact human, and needed sustenance. Or this was all here to ruse people. At the top of this ramp, yet more calendars mock us. Shits. The office opposite this contains a few odd things. What looks like a stand to hold chemistry vials, or beakers, is lying on one of the tables. On the desk is a pair of glasses, some glue and a screwdriver. It could be that they were trying to repair the glasses, but if so, the glue is the wrong thing to use and the screwdriver is way too fucking big. Then again, Vault-Tec were shit at making things, so this probably seems about right. Round to the left, past this awful waiting area and subpar painting, we come to a classroom-like area where two ghouls can be found. Based on the books and rulers here, I think some kind of testing was done in here, and it involved a slideshow of sorts. The poster on the wall tells us exactly what kind. I think this is where they tested the GOAT, the Generalized Occupational Aptitude Test. This one here was one of the questions. While we only see it featured in Vault 101, it is present in other forms in the Commonwealth, so perhaps it was meant to be involved with the other vaults in some way. The office opposite this offers us our first terminal entries of the building. This was the terminal of Martin Reid, and the first entry is from the 29th of September, so it talks about a delivery of jet and cycle to Vault 95, as the experiment was related to substance abuse. Martin does not understand why they're giving addicts more drugs, and disagrees with someone called Davidson, who's telling them it's to help them quit. The next entry is from the 7th of October. It pertains to the large amount of liquid nitrogen that Vault 111 had. This confirms to us what it was the vault used, and gives us more evidence that some of the employees did not know what was going on. Also, this was cutting it very close to when the bombs were actually dropped. The last entry is from the day the bombs hit, so Martin figured out the true purpose of the vaults and intends to quit, though unfortunately he does so the day before the bombs hit, when a vault was one of the only things that would guarantee his immediate survival. You know, probably, without turning into a ghoul. He probably never got a chance to give in the notice. So those were very interesting and bring up a few things. Most, or at least some, of the employees were completely ignorant of what most of the vaults were really trying to achieve, which slightly diminishes my hatred for them a bit. Also, we get the jet retcon. So originally it was made by a companion from Folly 2 called Myron. You know, after the war? By a few centuries? Bethesda seems to have changed the canon, and now it's a pre-war drug. Not sure why it was changed, to be honest. It seems that some unfortunate individual dropped their watch into the urinal while taking a piss. Or the plunger had something to do with it. Probably the latter. You can never be too sure with them. Just opposite the stairs that you take up to the top floor is another large office. It looks like several people worked here, though not much is left. And I use the word work very liberally. Probably just a lot of fucking around going on. There's a hole in the roof, and someone was blind enough to require a magnifying glass to read, instead of using, glasses. Vault-Tec, everyone. The first door on the right on the second floor leads to what shall be henceforth known as the conference room of cunts. I have no doubt that many a laugh was had here, as they thought up new and amusing ways to test people and generally ruin their lives. I mean, think about some of the vaults. Then remember, this was all meant to test environments for a space project. Some seem a bit unnecessary, yeah? Well, it's rooms like this that no doubt spawned them. Outside of this is the collapsed part of the floor with a pool table. As we will learn later, some violence did take place here, though it was not responsible for its current state. A curious thing can be found in one of the pumpkins, a bottle of rat poison. Yup. Shouldn't come as much of a surprise really, cause Vault-Tec. However, considering whose office is near and what they were like, I think it was intended for them. The office is just next door, and is clearly that of the one in charge here, the Davidson that was mentioned on Martin's terminal. They have a nice bathroom, lots of space to take a shit in, and a spacious lounge area, maybe for informal meetings. Their shelf has bandage scissors and glue, so they may have been injured at some point and were trying to treat themselves, maybe after the bombs hit. Their terminal does identify them as Frank Davidson. The first entry is from the 2nd of October. I find it funny as he defends Vault-Tec and says Martin is paranoid, but it becomes clear later that he may know what's going on. The next one is from the 13th. Sharon spills some coffee. They had a good laugh. He's going to stab her in the fucking throat with a pen. Sharon's a lovely girl. I like this guy. The last entry is from the 19th. Frank is sick of Martin's shenanigans. He thinks Vault-Tec is fine, and they're not experimenting on people. The last line about discipline is really fucking ominous. It can mean he was in on it. However, we do get some info later that suggests he was just an asshole, and may have been oblivious to their evil. The part about Sharon does come into play again as well, as we'll soon see, and it is pretty funny. Sort of. The rat poison may have been for Frank, as he may have frequented that pumpkin for candy, and someone wanted him to eat it and die. There is one last room I want to look at on this floor. It's the far end of it, and has a cute little alien toy at the entrance. The only weird thing in here is by this stack of boxes and toy truck. A surgical bone cutter. Now I have no idea why someone needed this or why they would hide it, but it does seem very suspicious. Now to take the elevator down to the basement to see what strange stuff they have hidden down there. So this must be where they stored all the supplies that went out to the various vaults. I thought these might have been the liquid nitrogen canisters, but the breathing masks make no sense at all, so it probably isn't. As for the rest of it, this was all meant for the vaults. Supplies, furniture, toilets, etc. Now this is actually a lot emptier than I would expect, and there are two possible reasons. One is the majority of materials were already shipped out. The other is that some of the vaults never got fully stocked, and this place only catered to a few, as only 95 and 111 were mentioned. However, the most interesting thing is over here. So there's a skeleton hidden behind these crates. A skeleton wearing Vault-Tec clothes. So they worked here. A skeleton with a pen beside them. Sharon? Fuck. I think old Frank went through in his threat. Now that means Sharon had to have done something else to him in the 10 days between the coffee incident and the bombs dropping. Perhaps his glue and bandage scissors were the result of whatever she did to him that pissed him off. Or her defending herself, though it doesn't seem to have helped her much. There is one last terminal just by the door here, Walter Scott's terminal. The first entry is from the 15th, and confirms that Frank is an arsehole, as he broke a pool cue over someone's head because they stood too close to him, while he was taking a shot. Cunt. So that means he had mental problems, which was most likely why Vault-Tec hired him, and was definitely capable of stabbing Sharon. The next entry all but confirms it. Sharon had gone missing for several days, and no one knows why. Walter misses her. Aw, so that body is definitely hers, and it was probably Frank. The bathroom contains a weird sight, someone attempted to stuff a mini nuke down the toilet with a plunger. For reasons, I guess. Just another day in the office, in Vault-Tec. So this was the Vault-Tec Regional HQ, the home of all sorcerer's fuck-uppery for Vault-Tec in Boston. The terminals here provided us with a lot of information. We learned that many of the employees were genuinely ignorant, at least to begin with, of Vault-Tec's plans. Martin figured it out, but Frank, the psychotic asshole, just said he was paranoid. Because of how demented he is, I'm not sure if the discipline comment meant he was in on it, or he was just being his regular unhinged self. I do think that he killed Sharon, as she did go missing. A body was hidden and had a pen beside it, the thing he wanted to kill her with, for the great sin of spilling coffee on him. I do think, however, this place was not the be-all and end-all of Vault-Tec in Boston. It's too small. Only a few dozen people could have worked here, and there are 4 vaults in the Commonwealth, that we know of anyway. This place could not have held all the supplies for even 1 vault, let alone 4, even taking into consideration how small Vault 111 was. Perhaps they had another installation somewhere, or perhaps they shipped it in from outside Boston. Whatever is the case, this place at least fills the role of displaying the usual nonsense that Vault-Tec has become so famous for. The possible cradle of Vault-Tec bullshit in the Commonwealth. I hope you like this look at it. If you did like it, give the video a like, and if you want regular updates, subscribe. Any suggestions for lore or future videos should be left in the comments below. Better yet, go on to my subreddit so we can discuss them in greater detail. It's linked in the description. If you wish to, you may support me on Patreon. I ask for £1 or $1, no more no less. If there are any rewards there that I don't have that you would like, please message me and I'll take them into consideration. Follow me on Twitter or Facebook to get regular updates or have a wee chat. Any business you wish to discuss, email me at thenthapple.business@gmail.com and I will get back to you as soon as possible. I hope you enjoyed the episode, and I hope to see you in the next one. And until then, goodbye.